Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? Another paid request this time for bogzombee. Thank you so much for man. Really appreciate it. For those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, tier lists, reviews, reactions, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal, which is the best bet, or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Division III, Football's Finest from 2011, which I never heard of. And when I saw the poster and I saw that it starred Andy Dick, I went, oh no. This is going to be abysmal. This is going to be like, what, those American Pie, Band Camp, like those movies, but then it's this goofy, raunchy, stupid humor, and then whatever, and Andy Dick's supposed to be the star, but he's in it for like 5 minutes because he's the name to sell in the poster, and I'm like, if that's the name you sell in the poster, like, goddamn. But no, this was, while I wouldn't call it that great, I will say it's a bit better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a total disaster. I will say it gave me enough smirks and chuckles. And Andy Dick, I guess it depends how you feel about the guy. For me, it depends. For example, I liked him in the film In the Army Now with Pauly Shore. That's actually my favorite Pauly Shore film. I watched that quite a bit when I was a kid. So I'm maybe nostalgia for it, warmed up to it because of that. And I liked him in that movie. He's interested to see him play a different type of character, which is Rick Weiss, this very angry, mouthy, antagonistic coach, who's a new coach for the Division III team, the Bluecocks, because their previous head coach died because they put water over him, and the cold water, I just gave him a heart attack because of the shock. So Rick Weiss is brought in and trying to get these guys geared up to play, because if they lose this year, the school will pretty much throw away the whole football stuff, because they're more into arts and crafts type of school anyway. And I noticed there are a few other recognizable people. There's a reporter played by Brian Callen, who had that Fighter and the Kid podcast with Brendan Schaub, until they got in some trouble and controversy. And he's a stand-up comedian. You also have Adam Carolla, who I remember from back in the day, The Man Show, with him and Jimmy Kimmel. Will Sasso from Mad TV pops in a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit from time to time. Adam Carolla is a guy who has this I say TV show, but he's like telling the news, the sports news. Sports anchor, best way to put it. And while Rick Weiss is trying to deal with this team, you also have this young quarterback, but he's the backup quarterback, and you get the idea that he's lazy, he has no fight in him, he just like whatever, and people just keep calling him lazy. People keep calling him, where's your love for the game? People, you just let things pass you by. Now, you say a bit of it's predictable. They do go win the big game at the end. The backup quarterback does learn to get fired up and love the game a bit again. Yes, there's a bit of romance between the backup quarterback and this other girl, who is the trainer. As in, well, I say the trainer, but if you have an injury, she'll take care of it, things of that nature. So it follows those tropes. But again, I'm surprised, kind of nicely so, that I expected it to be a lot of like raunchy American Pie type of jokes. I don't know, just you look at the cover, you think, okay, it's going to be like jokes about sperm, puke, farts. No, not the case. Not really. It's more about how incompetent Andy Dick's character is, even though he's full force in being aggressive. And you get to know a little bit about his character, like he's doing it because he wants people to hate him. Because when he was a kid, they had a coach, and we all hated him, so we were all got together and bonded over our hatred over him. I'm not saying you really get any dramatic emotional scenes with Andy Dick, because you don't, but it just seemed at least there was a little bit more to him and his performance in this compared to other movies. But at the same time, it's still a very silly, over the top movie. Just the way Andy Dick's trying to be tough. You lolly daddy motherfuckers, and your asses is grasses, and you're the lawnmower. And his assistant goes, "No, you're the lawnmower." "No, that's what I said." "No, you say your ass is grass and I'm the lawnmower." "Oh, it doesn't matter. Fuck it." Or he's trying to talk to the press and he uses get some. Then he's trying to figure out what that means. Go every time, so others may every time. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know, because he didn't know either. But he likes the phrase get some. Or my guys talking shit about him, so you think, okay, he's a tough guy, but he's going to get his ass whipped easily. But no, he stands up and goes, we both have something in common. We were both inside your mother. And he gets beat up, but he's able to give like a flying punch to knock the guy down. And he's a guy that he thinks he's on this level, but everyone realizes in reality he's over here on this level. But he's kind of a legend in his own mind. I will say Andy did get some chuckles out of me. I was quite surprised by that. For example, he keeps trying to hone in on the backup quarterback, and the guy's like, he's never kind of bothered by it. He's just more confused. Like, "Oh, you that blind chick, you like old Yeller, right?" "Yeah, old Helen Keller." No, he says old Helen Yeller. That's what you old Helen Yeller. And he's like, "You mean Helen Keller?" "No, I said old Helen Yeller." Yeah, yeah. Because he's confusing Helen Keller with old Yeller for some reason. Or like when there's this guy who's one of the few adults that knows what he's doing, who played football before, is a defense coach, is helping them, and then they start, as well as the backup quarterback finally getting his motivation, they start winning games. His interactions with Andy Dick, the defense coach, it's like the defense coach is in reality, and then Andy Dick is in Andy Dick reality. So I did a lot to just. It's kind of refreshing that there were some people that were kind of acting realistic to just be confused with Andy Dick's mannerisms. So in a weird way, it made it feel less like a cartoon. Because Andy Dick's character is pure cartoon, while other people are kind of like some people are like the principal, where she is loving the publicity. Yeah, I give you the razzle dazzle. But yeah, there's like the backup quarterback and the defense coach. They're in reality, and these other people are in a cartoon world, and it just kind of a different vibe to it. And like I said, I do appreciate that they didn't just every 5 minutes run to the bottom of the barrel type of jokes. Because it would seem like be a movie, okay, you don't see a guy's balls, and maybe a balls get stuck in a fucking recliner like Baywatch. I mean, when this film is more mature than Baywatch with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Zac Efron, that fucking says something. Now, like I said, it's still a lower budgeted movie. The football scenes are adequate, but nothing mind blowing. They're adequate enough, but they don't have a lot of the finesse that a lot of it's not no Any Given Sunday. Let's put it that way. The acting from the others is fine, like the backup quarterback guy. The other supporting characters, they're like the other members of the team for the most part fairly forgettable. There's not much for me in terms of personality or charm. Because you take, say, Major League. A lot of those characters are pretty memorable, whether it be Dennis Haysbert and the Voodoo and the Bat, whether it be Tom Berenger's character, Charlie Sheen's character, Wesley Snipes' character. They all have their unique parts and their personality and their own little character bits going on. So that makes that much more of a memorable team. I wouldn't say that the football team is memorable because, again, the other people I could barely tell you three things about. There's the one guy's receiver who is giving the backup quarterback shit. Talk about how you're always bitching and whining. There's this scrawnier guy who's on the team now because the store was able to give them equipment that got lost in the fire. But he doesn't really, for what I remember, get to do a whole lot. So it's kind of made me go, what was even the point of all that? It seemed like he didn't really get to do a whole lot after making that be known. And the romance between the guy and the girl, it's like, oh, whatever. It's like, okay, we have to have this in there because we have to have something else going on, which, like I said, the acting was fine, but it's nothing that really intrigued me. It wasn't like that involving of a plot or a romance. So this is not a film that is your grade A movie, but like I said, it was better than I thought it would be. Andy Dick, it's definitely a different type of performance, and I don't know, maybe you watch the trailer, and if it doesn't do anything for you, it's on Tubi. I don't know if it's on there now, but when I watched it was on Tubi for free. At the very least, I don't know, I didn't think it was that awful. You know, there's a bit with the prayer where his assistant just goes on a tirade about was it Darwinism, saying Moses did ride Dead Sea on a goddamn pterodactyl. And even Andy Dick is being confused by this, his character, let alone the others. Like, where did this come from? But I mean, it's a line I never thought I'd hear. You know, Moses did not ride the Dead Sea in a pterodactyl. Well, that's probably true. I also like that when they win the game, Andy did. He has this thing where I'm gonna give you the damn ball. Then he goes to a different person. I'm gonna give you the damn ball. So each person he keeps giving the damn ball to. And also, it was kind of refreshing that usually in these type of films, that it didn't go for the typical trope. Oh, the star of the movie, the backup quarterback, and the coach. At the end, they don't form like a bond. They really like each other. But no, you get the idea. Backup quarterback likes him just as less as he did at the beginning. Like, just he's like, oh, okay, coach, yeah. And he goes in, he drives away, and there's no. Because in reality, he's like, no, you're fucking idiots. You're a dumbass. Like, you could still tell backup quarterback's like, yeah, whatever. But Andy Dick sees otherwise. He doesn't get it. So I appreciate that typical trope not being put into play because it made it feel a bit different. If you like football and football comedies, like I said, it's not one of the best, not dearly. Like I said, I would even put probably Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula and Sinbad above this. That one I would say again, that cast was more memorable. And that's the thing, if it had much more memorable set pieces of the other characters, really I would say it's Andy Dick and his shenanigans. And either you get annoyed by it and you turn it off, or you're like, you know, there's actually some funny bits here and there, and you're curious to see where it goes. And that's kind of where my mind frame was at. So I do like the bit at the end where they're losing the big game, and you think he's going to go on this tirade, but he sits down and simply says, you know, you never know, you know, if you lose this game, maybe, who knows, maybe you'll wind up like me. And the team looks at each other, and then they completely rush out of the locker room, they start playing better. Like that, I thought, okay, that was kind of funny as well. So I mean, this had the right idea to work a little bit more in being some little clever moments in the script, and to not go for the typical lazy, raunchy gags that would usually be in this type of movie. What you would imagine this movie would be with the cover. So, better than I thought it would be. Still don't think it's great, but at the very least, it was a time waster, which is, again, surprising to me to say. So, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye bye.